Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us on yet another webinar to talk about some cool technology and how it can impact your business in a positive way. We're going to talk about chatbots today. So here's the agenda that I have for you. We're going to do some introductions so that folks who are here for the first time on an Astute Business Solutions webinar understand who we are and what we do for customers. We'll talk about chatbots. Some of you may know what chatbots are. Some of you may be new to that concept. So a brief primer on chatbots. And then we'll talk about some opportunities and challenges. Some of you may have tried to implement a chatbot or may have read about chatbots being successful or not so successful. We want to set the record straight and help everybody understand what chatbots can mean to your business and how you should take advantage of that. We'll move right on to succeeding with chatbots, which means what is our experience in helping customers succeed and what are some proven methods to get this off to a great start. Astute has a product called Guru, which is a student bot aimed specifically at higher education customers and the student population in those customer sites to help them from information about their courses, grades, campus FAQs, advisement, tuitions, and a variety of other things. This is a solution that is also available on the Oracle Cloud Marketplace. So we'll talk about that. Then we'll do a live demo of a FAQ bot today and try to reserve sufficient time towards the end of today's webinar for Q&A and conclude after that. So let's get right into it. I'll just present a brief overview of Astute Business Solutions. Our mission statement is to help customers get the maximum value of all of their investments by leveraging cloud infrastructure and platform services. Along the way, our goal is also to deliver improvements in cost, performance, security, and also give customers the ability to take advantage of new services such as digital assistants and chatbots, which are part of cloud platform services. We've been in business since 2006. We are headquartered in Pleasanton, California, founded by ex-PeopleSoft employees. We have offices all over the country and in India and Canada. We are an Oracle Cloud partner and a Gold partner. Our focus is to help customers with our 20 years or more of cross-industry experience and to leverage our partnership with Oracle to help you accelerate implementation of solutions such as chatbots. We've always had a focus on developing value-added tools and solutions to help either fill gaps or to help accelerate deployment of Oracle products, and some of those are available in the Oracle Cloud Marketplace. In terms of our cloud offerings, what we are focused on today is to help customers migrate to cloud, whether it is a PeopleSoft application or other Oracle applications. We are also helping several of our customers migrate non-Oracle workloads. They don't have to be Oracle ERP or Oracle Tech, but they may be suitable for cloud. Once the customer's on cloud, we help them manage and maintain the infrastructure and the application workloads that have been moved to cloud and relieve them of that overhead so that they can focus on more business value-added activities. Along with that run and maintain comes cloud advanced monitoring, compliance solutions, automated backup and recovery, disaster recovery, and many more such solutions. The platform part of it is where we are going to focus our energy today in today's webinar. Customers can take advantage of probably tens of platform services on Oracle Cloud today to extend their solutions and to go into newer areas. So if you're looking at a business intelligence solution based on autonomous database or autonomous data warehouse, that's an area that we can help you in. Chatbots, something we're going to talk a lot about today. Analytics with Oracle Analytics Cloud. Security solutions, if you want to improve security or add additional layers of security to your existing solutions. And then for those of you who are looking for extreme performance, either through Exadata Cloud Service or other cloud options, we can help you with those as well. Since we're talking about chatbots, I thought I'd put up a slide and tell you what we're specifically doing with bots today. So in terms of the functional areas or the use cases that we can help customers implement right away, it is student, employee, supplier, manager, and requisition. And requisition, as the name implies, it applies to procurement. Our goal is to help customers with a pre-built repository of chatbot skills so that you don't have to start from scratch. And keeping in line with that, we have already developed and implemented several skills for each of these bots that you see above. And we're also developing a rich repository of APIs using standardized web protocols such as REST to easily integrate these bots with back-end ERP systems like PeopleSoft. Some of these are available on the Oracle Cloud Marketplace. If you go there to Oracle Cloud Marketplace and search for us by name, Astute Business Solutions, you'll find us listed there. So let's get into the meat of today's conversation, chatbots. What are chatbots and why are they so popular? Why are they being talked about so much? And why is everybody interested in implementing chatbots? The basics. What is a chatbot? This is a definition I got from Wikipedia, and it says a chatbot is a piece of software that conducts a conversation via auditory or textual methods. Now that's a little cryptic, but let me simplify that for you. In essence, what it's saying is that chatbot is technology that you can take advantage of today and provide a conversational interface to people who visit you through your website, through Facebook, or through other methods, and answer questions that they may have about you, your organization, and related pieces of information. Now, something that goes along with chatbots is this notion of a conversational AI. And AI, as all of you recognize, stands for artificial intelligence. You will also hear the term conversational UI, which means a conversational user interface, which is slightly different than a regular textual user interface that you may find in a web application today. And what this refers to is the use of these bots to provide automated communication back to the person asking a question, and to also contextualize that for them so that they get information that is relevant and that is quick and that meets their needs. So a lot of interesting information about this on the net, but these are just a couple of quotes or definitions that I pulled out to make it easy for everybody to understand. So where can we use chatbots? So chatbots are typically used in dialogue systems, i.e., you have somebody asking a question, you want to provide a response. It may be a single interaction, it may be a continuous flow of back and forth questions. And many of you have seen this already. If you go to a customer support site today, most often you will find a link at the bottom saying chat with us, or an icon that will pop up a chat window and somebody will chat with you. It's becoming harder and harder to distinguish whether you're chatting with a live person or a bot, but many of these interactions are already being powered by bots. Now, in terms of industries, I just picked three here for example. In banking, customer services, a consumer asking for a current balance statement or inquiring about a transaction, requesting a transfer of funds from one account to the other. Those are some common examples. In the healthcare space, if you want to schedule an appointment with your primary care provider or with a home care provider, if you want to locate a clinic, what is the nearest clinic to you? Maybe you're not at home, maybe you're traveling. If you want to know what medication you should be taking and when you should be taking it, all of these things are already being provided by bots in various shapes and forms. In the education world, student information, from a variety of sources of information on a campus, from websites to departmental SharePoint locations, if you can look at those. But there's a lot of information, both in the public domain and in the private domain, that people often look up. And these sources of information are growing at a very fast rate. All of these are candidates for chatbots. Now, what are the challenges? And related to those challenges, what are the business opportunities that customers have when it comes to chatbots? So some business imperatives that we'd like to talk about today, and this is a quote from Gartner: 70% of white-collar workers will interact with conversational platforms on a daily basis. And this is a significant prediction. This is a recent one, and it's based on years of experience of early phase chatbots that people have tried and failed. Products have been built. They have been marginally successful, But that was also at the time when the cell phone devices and mobile devices were not growing at a pace at which they're growing today. So today, you have billions of devices available. Everybody prefers to communicate with their smartphone before they go to a computer. So this prediction from Gartner is going to be really important. And then something from Forrester about customer service says 63% of customers will leave a company after just one poor experience, and almost 2/3 will no longer wait more than 2 minutes for assistance. Again, this is from personal experience. I can tell you that as we go more and more into the online world for shopping and for services, we are relying on crowdsourced information for reviews. Positive reviews are really the basis of how organizations are selling product today. If I don't see a good review, I'm not going to buy that product, regardless of how technically sound or how rich in features that product may be. And then if I do have a question, I'm expecting an immediate response, whether I communicate via email or phone or through the website. And that's where that responsiveness and the timeliness of a response really comes into play. So the opportunities that customers have are, there are 6.8 billion mobile devices in use, which means everybody that you can think of as a potential customer or consumer or supplier or employee, they're all using these devices today. So that is a tremendous opportunity there to get them to use those very same devices and communicate with you using chatbots so that it fits very nicely into that device. And then there's a new generation of artificial intelligence and machine learning capabilities that are making chatbots very compelling, which means now behind the scenes, you have platform services, and they're all cloud-based, which are developing technology that make chatbots very intelligent, and they're able to read a transaction, understand the patterns, deliver better responses, capture analytics on each interaction, and give you data that now you can take action on. So AI and ML is going to play a big role in chatbots. Here are some barriers to chatbot adoption as we have been speaking to customers and deploying solutions. The first one is time to value. Once you get past the stage of convincing your organization that chatbots are important and they should be applied, and you've identified one or more use cases, then the next question that comes up is, how long is this going to take, right? You've made all the decisions, you've budgeted for it, but you don't want to wait months to implement a solution and see the value in that. So customers are looking for a way to accelerate the time taken to realize value from a chatbot. Second thing is having a good starting point. Now, there are many ways to get started with this, but what is the right way to do that? And that right way is really based on your business need, your organization's ability to adapt and take on some new technology, and also on some pain points that you may have. For some of you, it may be help desk call volume. For others, it may be attracting additional students to your website so that they can look at your university and apply and eventually enroll if they're selected. And then choosing the right technology. There are plenty of options out there in the market. What platform should you choose, and which one really suits your needs? That's the question that you have to answer. There might be a lot of technology out there, and there's a lot of choice, as we all know, but which is the one that really matters to your specific needs? Let's pause here, and we'll do a quick poll. Valerie, please.
I'm going to launch the poll. I appreciate everybody taking the time to answer it. I'm just going to leave it up there for another minute or so just to make sure we capture everybody's answers. Thank you for taking it. We appreciate your feedback. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to end the poll and launch the answers for Arvind.
Thank you, Valerie. So, and again, thank you everybody for participating. this is very telling. We know that chatbots are great for FAQs. So more than 50% of you said that FAQs are going to be really important. And FAQs can come from generic FAQ documents or website pages, but they can also be a part of help desk. They can also be a part of knowledge base and policies and procedures. What I'm also interested in noting is at the bottom you see that many of you are interested in customer transactions, so HR, finance, and procurement. And in today's world, as things stand, chatbots have not made a big dent in that area. Of course, you have banking solutions and some other things like that that can go into your account and get you some information. But when we talk about Oracle Tech and ERP, customers are just getting started. PeopleSoft has released some reference bots, but this is very encouraging to know that that is an area that many of you are interested in. So let's close this poll and continue our discussion. Thank you again for your feedback. So how do we succeed with chatbots? What are some proven methods? What is a good starting point? What is technology that you could consider for making chatbots a success? Let's talk about some of those things. We recommend that you should get started with an FAQ bot. And the reasons are simple. FAQ bots serve a larger population as opposed to a small group of users. If you are a retail business, for example, all of your consumers may come to your website and they may want to know what your return policy is or what your warranty is on certain items, when you have discounts and what products they apply to, what items are available for purchase and so on. A lot of these things can be provided easily, not just through web pages, but more importantly through a chatbot where they can converse with a system and get a response that is tailored to their specific question. The second important reason why we think an FAQ bot is going to be important is regardless of whether you are in retail or banking or healthcare or education or a utility company, or if you're a state and local government, you want to know how effective these answers are to your audience. And chatbots give you a way to track and measure the results of each and every interaction. Now compare that with a static FAQ page that may be sitting on your website. You have no way of tracking eyes on that website to understand which question was read how many times and whether the answer was efficient or whether it solved the user's problem or not. Whereas with the chatbot, each and every interaction is measured, and you can use those analytics to fine-tune and improve your response. And what happens when you do that? You improve customer service, you improve employee service, you improve services for students, and so on. And then you translate all of your FAQs into that modern conversational UI. If you remember, at the beginning of the conversation today, I introduced conversational UI and conversational AI as concepts associated with chatbots. And the idea here is an FAQ document may have one question with a 5-line answer, and that's too much information already for somebody to read. Converting that into more of a conversational style language where it is more interactive and information is provided very specifically to answer that question, that's going to be an important aspect. Obviously, the goal is to improve services, but it's also to reduce cost. If your metric today is, or if your goal is to reduce the number of calls that go into your help desk by deflecting them first to a chatbot and trying to get the majority of them answered first there, you can do that. And these chatbots are fully capable of handing off that conversation to a live agent with the history of that conversation so that users can still hit the proverbial 0 button or let's say representative, and it can still transfer them to a live agent. So having a chatbot does not preclude or prevent human interaction. It just means that now you're building a lot of automation, a lot of efficiency into the way you deliver information to the outside world. Here's a way to implement an FAQ bot in 2 weeks, and we do this for customers all the time. So the first thing you do is prepare. What is it that you should implement? Remember, I was talking about a starting point. To help you arrive at a good starting point, we have an accelerator that has a crawler that can look at, for example, your public website and easily identify all the documents that you have on there and categorize them by knowledge base articles, help desk information, policies and procedures, FAQs, events, directions, location information, and so on. And we can give you a very quick analysis of that. Within that, we can also generate counts for how many questions you have in each type and what are suitable for FAQs. Once you get past that stage, you come to build. So this is where we train the bot, and what that means is developing skills in the bot. So for those of you who are Amazon Echo users, i.e. Alexa, or if you're using Google Home, or if you're using smartphone virtual assistants like Siri or Google Assistant, you'll notice that every so often you'll get a notification from the vendor saying that now this virtual assistant or bot or device is capable of new things, right? It can play trivia with you, it can answer weather-related questions, it can order a pizza for you. Each of those things is a skill. So the process of implementing a chatbot requires that you develop the skill and train the bot on how to deploy that skill and how to use it when a question is asked. And that's where intents and utterances come into play. Deploying the bot is taking that information, that skill set that you've developed, and determining which channel you want to push that information out through. Most common use case is uses web channel, but you can also integrate it with messenger tools like Facebook Messenger. You can go to Slack. You can go to SMS. There are many channels that you can use. And then continuously improve. You don't want to implement a bot and not look at the performance of the bot, what types of questions are being asked more often than others, is the response sufficient or not. That's really the true value in a bot, is to measure and to continue to improve. All of this can be done in a very short time frame, 2 weeks or less. Here's how we do it in 2 weeks. Typically a fixed fee of about $10,000. You'll have a working bot deployed on Oracle Digital Assistant Cloud Service. Includes up to 100 FAQ questions. It can be slightly more or less depending on the complexity of your current FAQ set. Converted into that conversational UI model and deployed on up to 2 channels. Includes training and documentation so that your teams know how to use the bot, how to train the bot, how to continue developing that. We are always available to do more work for you, but our goal here is to get you started and pointed in the right direction with a jumpstart package like this, show you the value, and show you how to measure and improve and train your team so that you can continue to build on that. Here's a little bit of technical information about how this bot works. And this is a very high-level reference architecture, considering we are using Oracle Digital Assistant as the base of the solution. It has multiple channels that it can integrate with. That's what you see on the left-hand box. And then you can build multiple skills. And a chatbot can have many skills, and a digital assistant can have many chatbots. So you can have a chatbot, if I take the example of education, one for student, one for faculty, one for athletics, one for alumni, one for prospective students, and each of those can have multiple skills underneath. They can all be delivered under one digital assistant. And then the back-end services you see are transactional applications. If you want ERP or student information systems or HR information to be integrated into the bot, we can easily build integrations to those applications as well. Let's pause here and get to our second poll. Valerie, please.
I've launched the poll. I'd like to thank everyone for taking it again. We appreciate your feedback. I'm going to leave it up for about 20 more seconds or so. Thank you for taking the time to complete the poll. Arvind, over to you.
Thank you, Valerie. So let's continue. So I want to we spoke about the FAQ bot and how easy it is to implement and how you can do that for a fixed fee and see some results in 2 weeks or less. I want to spend a few minutes talking about the student chatbot that Astute has built, and this is a solution that's available in the Oracle Cloud Marketplace. And we have, remember I was talking about how we've pre-built skills, pre-built REST APIs for this to work. So it's pre-integrated with PeopleSoft Campus Solutions, and it has a growing list of skills that we continue to develop and release as customers consume more of these services. So Guru is a student chatbot, and here are the things that it can do. It can deliver FAQs. Obviously, we spoke about FAQs and chatbots as a good starting point, and student-related FAQs are many. So any university or college website that we go to, we find a lot of FAQs, from campus information to directions to locations of different departments to prospective student-related FAQs, information about state and federal programs, FAQs for that, about tuition and so on and so forth. There's a lot of information about the athletic programs. There's just many, many documents that you can find in a university's ecosystem that are publicly available and that can be consumed by students. But then there are specific student services. So once a student is enrolled in the university, can we allow the student to look up grades, class information, enroll in courses, drop a course, find out when tuition is due, make a payment? Yes, payment systems can be easily integrated to chatbots, and also fill out simple forms. Sometimes you may want them to take a survey or fill out some other form related to course or anything else that they may be doing on campus. So all of those things can be easily served up through a chatbot interface. Tuition-related information, looking up current tuition bills and paying them, or asking questions about that. These can be localized. So if you are delivering services in multiple languages, then you can easily build the skill in one primary language like English, but have the same be delivered in multiple languages like Spanish and French. Advisement-related information, which is very critical, student affairs, all of those things that go into a student's life cycle on campus. I'm not talking about all the use cases here, but think about placement services, campus interviews. A lot of that information is things that a student would like to have on their fingertips, and preferably on their phones, which they can access at any point by just asking a question. And then campus community, I covered that in the beginning, but anything that's happening on campus, meetups are very common these days. So getting notified and getting information about those, asking who's coming to the meetup, when is the meetup, what's the topic today, what are some other campus events that are going on that they might want to participate in. All of this information can be easily plugged into a chatbot, can be integrated from various sources, and delivered through a single CUI interface. So here's an example of how a university benefited by using our student chatbot named Guru. So a little bit about the university first. About 2,700 students in the undergraduate program, about 931 students, and 18,155 in other programs. So a good-sized campus, not very large, not very small, I would say somewhere in a medium range. And then here's what they had in terms of metrics that they wanted to share with us. What we found out after implementing the bot was this was a very conservative estimate. They were actually getting a lot more calls and a lot more hits on their websites. They were just not able to measure it very accurately before we started this project. But the idea was to deflect call volume from a human-based help desk and provide answers from a chatbot first, and try to answer 90% or more of those questions through the bot, and then the ones that could not be answered, maybe they were too complex or the user insisted on talking to a live agent, those questions were transferred to the help desk. And here's the result that the customer experienced by implementing the solution. So they were able to reduce phone call volume by 60%. They were able to reduce wait times at critical time periods during the student life cycle, as in you have on campus you have enrollment dates when a semester starts and so on. So from 40 minutes to less than 30 seconds, wait time was reduced. Significant outcomes, and these are things that every customer can look forward to. Of course, the metrics and the volumes and use cases will determine your benefits, but you can see the trend here is everything's trending downwards in terms of time, effort, and eventually cost. Here's what a implementation for a student bot connected to PeopleSoft Campus Solutions looks like. We have an accelerator program for 4 weeks, and the reason why it's short and 4 weeks is because we have a lot of these skills pre-built, at least for the student side, and then we know how to integrate with different sources. So if you want to bring in housing-related information or cafeteria or meal plan information, we just have to plug into the system, make a query, and provide that through the chatbot interface. More information is available. If you'd like to contact Astute on any of these aspects, we can break it down for you on what this cost will get you and what are the specific benefits and deliverables that you will see in that solution. Here are some samples, and I have this slide because today we are not going to do a demo of the student bot. The demo that we have planned for you today is an FAQ bot, but this demo is also available upon request. There's a video containing this demo on our YouTube channel, but this is what our screen looks like, and these are some of the interactions that you can see through that student bot named Guru. The first thing I'd like to point out here is that it authenticates the student using a secure mechanism into PeopleSoft before it provides any information. So from a security and compliance standpoint, the security model that you've implemented in your PeopleSoft application will still be utilized. It's not wide open. An FAQ on a website is a different problem or solution altogether, because that's in the public domain and we don't have to go through an authentication mechanism. We have to just provide that in a meaningful way through the bot. But when you're talking about a student-specific information, such as class schedule or grade or tuition, we first want to authenticate the student into the system via the bot. So there are some back-end mechanisms. I won't go into all the technical details today. Happy to do that one-on-one with any of you that is interested in the next level of detail for the solution. But it authenticates the student, and the student asks a question. So in this case, the student's looking for grade information, and the bot identifies that it is a grade-related question, and it says, do you want to see all of your grades or by subject? So it gives the student an option. And then the conversation proceeds. So you can see there's a flow to this, as opposed to putting this stuff up on a screen. Even if it's a web application or a self-service application, this is really having a conversation with a friend. You're saying, hey, I need to know this information. Can you give it to me? And before they give you the information, they're trying to narrow it down so that they can give you the right information. So in this case, the bot is asking a question in return so that it can provide a contextual response and the correct response to you. And then you can continue on and do other things. So you can go to class schedule, and it can show you a variety of different things. Now, some things that are capable in the bot. So on the second icon or the screenshot you see here, you see the detailed link. So what that'll do is the bot can provide some information in the chat interface, but if additional details are needed, it can point to a URL, and it can take the user to a landing page or a website that contains more detailed information. So that may be required from time to time. It won't make sense to provide a 10-page document as a response in a chatbot. That defeats the purpose of having a conversation. But it's contextual, it's relevant in a sense that it can start off with the right answer, and it can say, for more details, please click on this link. And the chatbot will still remain active in the main window. All right, so let's pause here and go to a live demo, and I am going to attempt to show you how you can build an FAQ bot, or actually use an FAQ bot that we have recently built. And so here's an FAQ bot that you see that is on my local machine. This is connected to Oracle Digital Assistant Cloud Service. So the bot is implemented on Oracle Digital Assistant. We have built some skills, we have put some intents and utterances, and to keep the topic in line with what we're discussing today, we have created some FAQs from sources like Oracle and our own website to talk about chatbots, about moving to the cloud, and so on and so forth. So I can either ask a question, as in, what is a chatbot? And in this case, it has probably lost connectivity to the bot.
No, I think it says trouble.
Spelling mistake. So it gave me an answer. What is a chatbot? A chatbot is a computer program that simulates and processes human conversation, et cetera, and there are multiple answers. So it gives me the ability to look at more answers if I'd like. And all of these, so what it's doing is it's looking at the keyword chatbot in all of the FAQs. It's pulling up the most relevant one. So what is a chatbot happens to be a direct match to a particular question that the bot has been trained to respond to. But there are other similar questions related to chatbots, which are also being displayed here. I may want to talk about lift and shift. For example, I want to move something to cloud, and it can do the same thing. What is lift and shift? Why should we consider that? And you can talk about something like benefits of chatbot, and it can do that. Now you can also ask specific questions. If I have trained this bot to include the location of the offices for Astute Business Solutions, I can ask a question such as, where's Astute Business Solutions headquartered? And it can answer that question. In this case, that's not in the demo today, but as you can see, it reads my question, looks for keywords, matches that very quickly with keywords and in the skills that we have developed, and it provides a number of responses. When there's an exact match, it gets you the specific answer you're looking for. When you just enter a keyword, so for example, if I say database, it's going to find a lot of different articles related to database in our FAQ, and it's going to try and provide you as many of those as possible. But if I want to be a little more specific and I say database cloud service, it will start narrowing it down, and you can see now it has database cloud service in the response, and it can provide that information to you. Now, what's important is to look at these interactions behind the scenes and track the performance of the bot and try and make it more efficient. There may be some cases. So for example, I want to say order a pizza, and my bot is not trained to order a pizza. So it thinks I want to purchase PeopleSoft, right? So not even close. But that interaction is recorded in the bot from an analytics perspective, and it knows that the response was really not related to pizza at all. So now you can identify these things, and you can look at trends, and you can fine-tune them, which you can otherwise not do with a static FAQ or with a knowledge base article. So you may have knowledge base articles in your IT help desk, but you don't know if it's helpful or not. Now, many knowledge base articles today have either a like button next to it, or they ask you a question when it provides you the response online to say, was this helpful to you or not? And it usually has a yes or no response, and it's entirely dependent on the end user to provide you that feedback. Whereas with a chatbot, you have other mechanisms of finding out whether the solution, the answer provided was right or not, or at least if it was in the right vicinity of the question. So that's a brief demo. We can go on, we can ask a lot of questions, but I'm going to pause here, and I'm going to switch back to our presentation. And what we'd like to do now, in the time remaining, we have about 15 to 20 minutes, is provide sufficient time for question and answers and give you the ability to ask us whatever you may have in mind in terms of questions, whether it is Chatbot or Oracle Digital Assistant or our accelerator program, whatever questions you may have, happy to take those. Valerie, can you let the audience know how they can interact with us and ask us questions, please?
Sure. So please enter your questions into the chat pane or into the questions pane, and we'll be happy to take them. We do have a couple of questions here, Arvind. The first one is coming from one of the universities. It's many applications have their own chatbot. For example, our ServiceNow implementation has its own virtual agent. What are your thoughts on whether we should have multiple chatbots for different applications, or should we strive for one chatbot for the entire ecosystem?
That's a great question, Earl. Thank you for asking that question. I think the long-term vision for organizations should be to build chatbots that are specific to certain applications and skills, but on a need basis, look at consolidating chatbots under a global digital assistant, if I can use the term global. And what that will do is, for example, you may have a student that interacts with ServiceNow because they may have a IT help desk ticket. They may not be able to log into their system, for example. At the same time, you may have a student that wants to inquire about grade information from PeopleSoft. Now, each of these can be served by different bots, but they can be brought together under one user interface using a digital assistant. So what we see in today's world, the example I gave the audience today was about Amazon's Echo device, which we all know as Alexa, and then Google Home. They have multiple chatbots behind the scenes. Not everything is handled by one bot, but the platform brings together all of those bots into one interface so that it's seamless to the end user. So the long-term vision would be to develop a digital assistant with multiple bots and combine that into one user experience. But to get started, you can have different chatbots, and they may be specific to certain applications. That's not such a bad thing.
Okay, so the next question we have is, you mentioned you can crawl web pages and documents. How does this work if these documents are behind a login? How do you maintain the knowledge building of the chatbot? If we uploaded a new FAQ, who would then teach the bot? Question mark. That's a question.
That's a great question. So the crawler that we have right now is pointed at a customer's public-facing website for obvious reasons. The most obvious one being that we won't have access to your internal systems unless you explicitly grant us access. And then even within that, we have to be sensitive about data privacy requirements and other things before we run a crawler on an internal website. But the crawler is fully capable. We can point that to an internal website and still gather what type of information it is providing and how much information is available. But if we look at just external websites, it has the ability to crawl the website and identify types of web pages and the type of content that's available. It's not reading and interpreting each and every line, but it's looking at headers and tags and things like that to know whether this is an FAQ document or a knowledge base article or something like that. And what that does is it gives us a quick synopsis. Are we looking at hundreds of documents or tens of documents or thousands of documents? What is the magnitude of the problem we are trying to solve? Rather than having a customer go out and figure this out internally on their own, which may be challenging for various reasons. You may have many different people, departments, everybody involved in that. This is a much easier way to get to all that information in a summary form. It can be pointed to an internal website with the appropriate permissions and privileges. And then the question about updating documents. So every time you update a document, the crawler can go back and revisit that and bring data into the bot. There is a process to understand how to convert new documents into the conversational UI format. Now, if you cut and paste an existing FAQ as is and put it into an FAQ bot, it will still work, but it won't be as efficient and as useful as an FAQ bot can be. So there's a little bit of work in converting an FAQ document in its current state and making that work in a CUI.
The next question we have is, do I need to use Oracle Digital Assistant or can I use anything else?
Great question. You can use any bot platform to develop an FAQ bot. Astute's solution, the one that we spoke about today, has been built specifically on Oracle Digital Assistant, especially our student bot. And we chose that because PeopleSoft with PeopleTools 857 has delivered some capabilities, namely Chatbot Integration Framework and Application Service Framework. Both of these help us securely connect into PeopleSoft using PeopleSoft security mechanisms to authenticate a user, whether the user is in HR or finance or student, and then provide responses to them. But that does not mean that you have to build everything on Oracle Digital Assistant. That is our preferred platform, and we are building package solutions with pre-built skills and pre-built integrations using Oracle Digital Assistant today.
We have one last question. It says, how does the system know when it's time to connect with a real person? How does the crawler know it's finding the correct FAQ, the FAQ or most recent policy update?
Okay, I'll treat that as a two-part question, and I'll answer both. The first part is, how does the bot know or the system know when to connect to a real person? So usually this is a cue that the user would provide the chatbot. Just like you do online today, if you call a support number, in their menu of options, although everybody tries to hide it in the fourth or fifth level of menus these days, somewhere in the menu system, there is a 0 or 9 or 3 or 5 that you can press to get to a representative, right? So, and that is based on the user input. Many other support systems also have a voice recognition service where you can just say representative, and it will immediately take you away from the bot and directly to a representative. Behind the scenes, what's happening when you do that is there is integration between that voice response system and the live agent, and those have to be implemented. So whatever your live agent system is today, these bot platforms, Oracle Digital Assistant in particular, are fully capable of integrating with those backend systems and transferring that call or that request to a live agent. And it would happen by the bot saying, the person asking the bot, live agent, for example, as a phrase, or by saying representative or customer service. That is a training issue, as in we train the bot to recognize those utterances and then initiate the integration to transfer the call to a live agent. The second part of the question was that, if I remember right, sorry, I have to go back to the question. Val, can you repeat the second part of the question for me, please?
How does it know if it's the right?
I believe the second part of the question was how does the system know that it is the right time or right person to transfer it to? Again, the answer would be similar to the previous question, which is you have to train the bot to take that action based on that particular user input. Okay, those were some great questions. Thank you again for those questions. If there are any other questions, Val, can you let me know in the FAQ section, and I can in the Q&A section, sorry, and I can answer those?
Yes, absolutely. So I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to attend today's webinar. To leave the tool, press the Leave Meeting on the right side of your control panel. You will receive an electronic survey when you leave the webinar. Please take the time to fill it out so we can better serve you in the future. This webinar is now concluded. Have a great day. Thank you.